On today's show, we're talking with Tom Malloy, writer, producer, director, about his filmmaking career and his mission to empower others with the tools they need to be successful in their film careers. Movie Making with Renelle Golden is brought to you by Samira Entertainment, supporting indie films and the filmmakers who create them. Stop by their website to learn more, www.samiraentertainment.com. That's www.sameraentertainment.com. Hello, everybody. Today we are with Tom Malloy. Let's see, what does Tom not do? I'm going to tell you what he does do. Actor, writer, producer, and director. How are you doing today, Tom?
I'm doing great. Great. Thanks for having me on the show.
I am thrilled that you've joined me. You have had a really interesting career, and I feel like a lot of us can learn from your journey, and you now also help others. So let's start with the basics. So at what point did you realize, hey, I want to be in the film entertainment industry and start acting?
Oh, gosh. I mean, that was my whole life. I mean, fourth grade, I was in the school play. Yeah, I was Captain Hook and Peter Pan. Peter Pan was female. And so from that point on,
you had to be.
Yeah, all I wanted to do. And so, yeah, I mean, the first movie that I did, I was 19 years old. It was the late 90s, and it was called Gravesend. We would go up to a street corner in Brooklyn. There'd be a gang of thugs standing around and be like, "You guys want to shoot a fight scene?" And we improvised we improvised the whole movie. And when it was done, Oliver Stone put his name on it. It was in theaters. And
that is an amazing story. And you seriously just grabbed anyone on the corner?
We did. We really tried to make it look as realistic as possible, put people in the scenes. We were kind of writing.
Did you guys get hurt?
Sometimes, yeah. But I was going to college at Montclair University right outside New York City. And I would go all day and then go shoot all night and just kind of live that way for a while. But I knew it was potential for my career, and it was. And, I got an agent out of that. And when I got some great auditions, but then when it didn't turn into like working nonstop, I decided I didn't want to be a bartender or a waiter. And I just wanted to learn every other aspect of the movie business. And that was when I did everything else.
I love that. And you also have had like a very good career writing.
I have. Yeah. I mean, I've written 31 or 32 screenplays now. I've optioned, sold, or made into movies 25 of those screenplays. I've been in the writer's for 20 years, I believe now. So, yeah.
That is very, very cool. And you've acted with actually some of the best. You've acted with a really good list of people. And I've watched you on screen, and you're a very good actor.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Some of the highlights were Betty White. I got to do a whole scene with Betty White on my movie Love and Dancing. Was incredible. So yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. Do you have a favorite project that you've done?
I would say it was the last one I did. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Gosh, I've now produced 22 films. This was number 18, but it was the first film that I directed. It was called Ask Me to Dance. And so it was really great to do a film director after all this time. I used to teach ballroom dancing, so I have a thing for dance movies. I did another one called Love and Dancing years back. It was great. Yeah, and it was like exactly what I wanted. It was in theaters last year, so that was a personal, a favorite for me.
That is so cool. Is it out now? Where can people watch that?
It is. Yeah, it's on VOD everywhere, and it's more and more platforms it's opening up on as we kind of roll it out. But
nice.
Yeah. So
that is so cool. That is so cool. What do you have coming up?
Well, gosh, all kinds of
projects. List is long.
Yeah, there's a lot. I've already done 2 films this year, producer-wise, but now there's a little bit of a kind of transition back to acting for me. I pushed that to the side for a while because I had gotten so much. I'd been doing so much as a producer, and I also own a film distribution company. So that was going on. But, just watching, I was in Cannes this year and watching the top people there in the films and going, God, I feel that I'm better than them, and I'm on a bigger level. And so just watching it and going, okay, well, let me start looking for some projects that I could be involved as an actor as well.
You were genuinely very good. I mean, I do a lot of casting on an indie scale, and you were really good.
Thank you so much.
I was like, oh, wow, because I didn't realize till I was like prepping for this interview just how much acting you had done.
Yes.
So,
That's my true like passion. I mean, ultimately, I try to always bring my A game. That's the one thing I can control. And then, people, when I get on set, they're like, oh, okay, that's, like it's one movie I did, Trauma Therapy. They were calling me One Take Tom on the set.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh my
because it's
God.
like, I recently was on a conference call about a film, and an actor had brought up, because we were doing it was a potential thing in a submarine, and we were going to have to be underwater for a while and
Ooh.
just kind of do 20 pages of scenes down there. And the actor says, so are we going to have like maybe 4 or 5 days of rehearsal to the director? And I jumped in. I'm like, or we could learn our lines and know them
When we get there.
because that's
What an idea. Yeah.
yeah. A lot of actors don't realize that, but I kind of come from the Michael Caine school of acting that, if you ever read
show up ready.
Yeah, acting and film, you got to bring your A game. You cannot assume that you'll ever get a chance to rehearse on set. And most of the time when I rehearse, I don't put anything into it because I don't want to waste what's going to be on the screen. And ultimately, it's you bring the A game every time.
Now, if you had to, this is an unfair question, so sorry, but if you had to pick between acting and producing, what would you pick?
That's a good one.
You don't have to answer it either. So.
Well, I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but it's like, look, acting was the first true passion. That's the one thing where I know that I can match anybody with. Producing is, in many ways, it's fun and it's excitement and all that, and it pays obviously very well. But the key is that a lot of times that's what like ages you. You know what I mean? You have like all the
stress factor.
Yeah, I mean,
gray hair or
my
the
guts
wrinkles.
are torn shreds. So it's like you have to. It's a tough job, and so that one's a little bit more high pressure than the actor that just comes and gives his performance or her performance, and that's it. So
right.
I think it's more stress with producing. I would say.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, here's another one just popped in my head.
Sure.
Ballroom dancing or acting?
Oh, good. Yeah, acting. I mean, I would say that the key with ballroom dancing, and I had some great teachers early on, but it's one of those, and I'm an actor who can dance and I'm an actor who can sing. I'm definitely not a singer.
You're the triple threat. I love that.
But I'm not, there's dancers who can act and there's singers who can act, but there's not. I'm definitely actor first, dancer and singer after.
That's so cool. And I was just kind of harassing you too, but now that you've directed your first feature film, do you look forward to doing that again?
100%. See, the key is, as an actor, writer, producer, and I think this might have been an issue, is that I never really branded myself. I did thrillers and horrors and dramas, and I really hadn't done a comedy, which I've been doing comedy since I was a little kid.
Oh, wow.
And so as a director, I did a comedy, and it was a pure, super fun rom-com. And I think the goal would be to continue down that path and only direct comedy. So that's my goal as a director, is to only do comedy. So I'm going to totally brand myself as a comedy.
Oh, I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm about to do my first one at the end of the year. So
that's great. What type of genre?
I'll tell you how it goes. We just locked in the script. It's a Christmas movie.
Oh, fun. So
I normally I kill people in my writing and work. So I'm a little nervous. We'll see how it goes. So
good. Good luck.
What kind of advice would you give people that are starting out, let's say as an actor? Let's go with that one first.
Well, these days it's definitely a lot easier to create your own content and create it, content that could look fantastic and be quality. I think that there is, when I started, to get something that looked on the professional level, you needed 16 millimeter or super 16 millimeter film camera or 35 millimeter film camera. And those were tough. There was a big barrier to entry. So you couldn't do something on a home video camera that looked anything but trash, maybe Super 8. But now you can get that same camera quality at Best Buy and put it, make a little investment in the camera there and make something that looks amazing. So as an actor, I would try to partner up with somebody that wants to be a DP, somebody that wants to do sound, and get a group that's all going to put it together and create something that looks professional. And that could be your reel that you then show to agents and managers, and they go, oh, wow, look at this person. This person can really bring it.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that. And, it's funny because as a writer, that's how I became a filmmaker. I had written all these feature films and I'm like, what do I do now? Because, if you don't have an agent, how do you get yourself in the door? And I made a short to demonstrate like a proof of concept off of a feature, and my director I hired didn't show up. And, that was like 15 years ago, and it just all kind of fell into place. But it wouldn't have if we didn't have the technology that we have now. And I think people don't realize that. Make your own stuff. If you're not being seen, I so agree with you, like 100%. Get your stuff made and get out there. What do you think about, people then, for writers and for people that want to produce? Do you think it's sort of the same process these days, or? Well,
yeah, I think that they could all group together if you find that crowd that can be creative with, and if you go to the right spots, like you go to film festivals or you go to film markets, especially AFM, EFM, and Cannes in France, and you go to those markets and you start to kind of network with people, you can start to put a little group together and just kind of say, do you want to do something? Do you want to put this together? Can you shoot my short film? Can you do this? And if you have professional people, and each time, I'm never 100% accurate on every new movie. There's always like one crew person that I'm like, oof, that was a mistake. It happens. So each time you kind of say, all right, this person may not be the person I want to work with in the future, but then you also have the people that you give the gold stars to. You're like, I'd work with that person anyway. So
I have some that I've kept like 12 years and then others I'm like, next.
Yep, 100%. So yeah, you have to get it down to where you have it.
One of the challenges, but it's such a labor of love to be in this profession. So, for actors, there's always this controversy, and I'd love to have your thoughts on it. So a new actor, they need to build their credentials and they need to show their work. And a lot of them, work for free, and a lot of them won't. What do you think about that for someone just starting out that's done nothing, and maybe they didn't go to college and have training?
I think that I look back on my life, and when I was younger and wanting to just get on set and do something, I would have paid. I would have done anything to do it, And so, and I think it needs that drive. And I had only heard recently, because we were talking about interns on a film set, that they expected payment, and it was kind of an entitlement thing that, film schools are teaching them that, that you're supposed to get paid and this and that. And I just think that that's a mistake. That's not that getting paid. I understand people should be paid for their services, but when you're first learning, you want to do anything you can to be on set. And putting a barrier in front of you getting on set and you doing something is just a huge mistake. You don't want a barrier there. You want to do whatever so that you can start building up. So I think it's fine, because those people that saying, well, I won't do anything unless I'm paid, great. They're not going to be on set and they're not going to be advancing their career.
Well, and a lot of times what I try to point out to people too is if you're not working for free on set, improving your craft, right? You're going to have to be paying for those acting classes to use your craft and get better, right? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Footage for your reel, or go pay money, or do a little of all of it and do everything.
Exactly. And it all helps. Anytime you're on set, you're doing something, even if it's a crazy thing, and I've been on those sets where it's like, ooh, this is a train wreck. You still learn something. You learn what to watch out for maybe the next time. And so
oh my God, so true. I kind of like on the production side, what do you think about people that enter the industry should possibly learn every job on the film set? Do you think that's a good idea, or?
Without question. I remember in the late 90s, for just a minute, I'm living in New York City and I needed to make money, and I worked at a hotel, the Paramount Hotel, and I ended up becoming the overnight manager just because I was a sharp guy. And I mean, the whole tenure was like 3 months, and I would
cool.
But the top guy, and I ended up making a movie about it called Hero of the Underworld.
I love it.
But
I'll have to check it out.
Years later, it was a small film, but there was a guy there that had worked every job from bellman to this and that. I mean, all the way up. And he was the front office manager and the most respected because he knew so much about the hotel and he knew everything.
Wow.
And he was the nicest one. I equate that also to Dick Cook, who I ended up meeting at Arts Deli in Studio City. Dick Cook was the head of Disney Studios. At one point, he was, Harvey. He was the Weinstein's boss. He was the main guy.
Wow.
Created the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. And he worked his way up from a ride operator, 1970 ride operator, in Disneyland, in Disneyland, all the way up to the head of the studio. Now, if that person, and by the way, possibly one of the most well-liked and admired studio heads of all time, he's retired now, but that probably why is because he knew everything about Disney, the ins and outs of Disney. And when you start as a ride operator and you slowly work your way up over 30 years to the top of the entire Disney studios,
I love that.
You're just, who would know more about the studio than you?
I love that so much. That's so respectable too. Like, I would definitely want to listen to that person because I know they'd know what they're talking about.
Yeah, well, I asked him, I said, I want to confirm a rumor. I said, I know you were a ride operator. I go, but was it Pirates of the Caribbean? Because I thought that'd be funny if he ended up creating the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, but it actually turned out it was a different ride. I forget what ride he said, but it wasn't. Yeah,
that would have been cool. Oh my God. Can we bring him back? Maybe we need him back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of neat. Oh my gosh. So at some point you became involved with, hopefully I say this correctly, but it's filmmaking stuff.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I wrote a book called Bankroll that was the gold standard book on film financing, and that's what it became. And the first edition came out in 2008. The second edition came out in 2012. Yeah, and everybody, I mean, it was the bestseller as far as film financing. But the problem was they asked me to write a third edition. It was Michael Weiss Publications. They're like the #1 film book publisher. But things were changing so fast. And the book, you would take 6 months to write it, and then it would be a year before it appeared in Barnes & Noble. It was a tough kind of long tail. And I met Jason Brubaker, who had created this blog called Filmmaking Stuff. And we just decided to start putting that content and everything that was teaching these books up on the site. And slowly over time made it into this membership site also, which is Filmmaking Stuff HQ for headquarters. And people can go there and have access to all this content. I mean, we've put hours and hours and hours of content of all the lessons. I really give away the farm. Yeah, I give away everything I know on there. And it's become a great community.
Yeah. You know what? When I had started out, because this wasn't my original field, I had a performing arts school and blah, blah, blah. I went blind, got my eyesight back, some of it. But I started researching, like, how can I learn more? Because somehow I fell into screenwriting after losing my eyesight. Wow. But I found Jason's blog like eons ago, and there was so much information. And I got to say, even today, I don't do traditional pitch decks, thanks to you.
Oh, great.
I love the way you guys present your information, and it's not as pretty as a pitch deck. It's far more meaningful.
Yeah, no, that's become one of the most, if not the most popular business plan around, which I think is really fun.
I love it.
Yeah, it's called Movie Plan Pro. But what's really fun is that I'll be at AFM and somebody will pitch me a movie, and they'll pitch me a movie with my business plan that I created.
Oh my God, I bet you just smile, right? You're just
it's so fun. So that's a good way to have it in with me, is to pitch me with my own business plan.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to AFM this year. Maybe I'll come pitch you.
That's awesome. Great.
I love that. Oh, that's too cool. Yeah, people look at me and they're like, "Could you do this for me?" And I'm like, "You know where I got it." So how cool is that? Do you guys have any plans in the future to add new stuff, or like, how can people find filmmaking stuff?
Well, you could go to Filmmaking Stuff and you'll see some blog articles there. And also there's a YouTube channel, the Filmmaking Stuff YouTube channel, where I put up free content all the time. And awesome. The main thing is we're always putting new modules out. We have a new thing coming up where we're going to do something on business plans, where we do 4 weeks of like drilling down for the people that sign up for it. 4 weeks of drilling down onto the business plan, and then another 4 weeks of drilling down on your movie pitch. And so we'll do stuff like that. But in the meantime, we also do these free webinars. We have one coming up this Saturday at, I believe, 10 a.m. LA time, 1 p.m. New York time. And so it's a free webinar. Truly, it's not one of these webinars where I say, well, if you signed up, you would learn this. No, I give away a lot of information on there.
Yeah, I've set in on many of them, and you really do. So hopefully people will do that and go to filmmakingstuff.com, right?
Yes.
To learn more. But what are some of the mistakes that you see, like in particular, us indie filmmakers? We have so much to learn. And I know on the legal side, with contracts and chain of title and all that, we have a lot of deficiency there. What are some of the things you see that, indie filmmakers maybe need to be more aware of, especially up and coming ones?
Well, there's a couple things. One, I would say they should always go to markets to see that side of it. To go to AFM, go to EFM Berlin. Maybe not EFM. That's a little bit more focused, but go to Cannes and see that side of it. But I see filmmakers all the time sending stuff, and that we get submitted through my colleague David, who runs acquisitions for Glasshouse. And it's just not on any professional level, and we don't know. We're like, could they see this? Can they see what this looks like? And
I'm sorry, why am I laughing? Yeah,
yes, and I think it's like a quality blindness or something like that. They think, I don't know what they think, honest to God. And so ultimately, the one thing that I would say is try to seek real opinions on your stuff. Don't get that cheerleading. Oh man, you did something awesome here. You don't get that. Get real opinions. And I'm guilty of not giving real opinions to filmmakers because I feel bad. I feel bad to tell them, man, this is horrible. I would say, oh, dude, it looks good. It's not for me. And, and I can't give them that exact feedback because everybody gets defensive. So the one thing I could say is try not to be defensive. Try to say, show me my flaws. What's wrong here? And be open to try to change and get better.
Right. That's good advice because, you want to make a career out of it and not a hobby. You kind of do have to keep improving. When I fell into like directing and producing, I decided, I love this, but I started taking every course, everything I could do. And I get to say, about 15 years later, I'm still growing and I'm still learning. But I do see that in a lot of other filmmakers, especially on the indie level, they'll make this feature film with all their like blood, sweat, and tears and money. And they haven't done a single contract.
Yeah.
And they can't get distribution. And I'm like, dudes, what are you thinking?
Yeah, that's a mistake too. And I love what you said, taking classes, because I've had people that say, look, film is the only one where people just jump into it, it seems, and they don't think they need to take classes. They're like, I'm a filmmaker now, which I think it'd be hilarious if I just one day said, hey, I'm opening up a yoga studio. You'd be like, well, do you know yoga? And I'd be like, no, I don't know anything. I just saw it once. I saw something
nice.
Yeah, and that's crazy. And they'll do that and they not see. I've seen people make 4 or 5 movies in a row and somehow get access to financing. You never know what their connections were. And they're garbage. They're like, and I remember talking to one person and I asked, I said, look, and I finally confronted him. I said, did you go to film school? What classes did you take? What movies have you reviewed? Where have you apprenticed? Like, all of these things should be what you're doing if you're serious about this as a career, and don't just go, I want to make movies so I can be drinking champagne and walk red carpets one day. Like,
and it doesn't work that way. Yeah. I've done 5 features since 2019 and it doesn't work that way. And even when they go out in distribution, I try to tell people this is a marathon. This is not a sprint.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be at those, fancy parties and this and that, or, just because you made a movie, you're not going in theaters, not necessarily, not anymore.
No, I did say, look, I posted and thankfully, knock on wood, I do get to a lot of those fancy parties, but
you deserve it. You've got I'm not going to say how long you have in this, but
thank you.
You have earned your stride.
Thank you. No, thank you. But it's like, what I'm getting at is that's only a percentage of the time. It's like right now I'm in New York and it's 7:30. I've been sitting in front of this computer since 7:30. So that's 12 hours. God, I have a call after our podcast tonight. So it's just like that's what I do. That's what I do every day. So people don't see that grind, that nonstop hustle, but I love it and I won't stop. And to me, the thought of a quote unquote vacation, let's go here on a vacation, that grosses me out. Like, I have no interest at all.
You probably can't stop working.
Because why would I love it? So why would I want to go anywhere? Like, it's funny. Somebody said, if your life stinks, but then you go on vacation and it's good, it's like you're not depressed. It's just you have a shitty life. You need to do something better. And it's truth, and so that's the way I kind of feel. Is like
I'm thinking your vacations must be like going to Cannes or
that's it. The vacation is work, right? That's when I travel. It's always for that, or going to a film festival. Sometimes that's the only time I can relax if I know, like, I was just in Oklahoma for this Dead Center Film Festival speaking to filmmakers, and like those things, there's no pressure for me. So it's fun to kind of see the whole city and stuff like that and
kind of enjoy it. So what do you think right now, the filmmaking hub, do you feel like it's changing? Are we going to stay focused in Georgia, or is it kind of like we could make a film in any of the 50 states?
Yeah, well, they all have their advantages. Like there's certain ones. I know New Jersey just came out with a great tax credit. I was literally on a webinar today.
Yeah.
I was in a webinar today about the New York State tax credit and how they're changing things. But it depends on where you want to shoot your film, and then you look and you go, okay, what kind of film is this? It's set in a southern type setting, so then you eliminate what states it can't be, and it's rural or whatever. And so then you just try to pick the best thing, but then also what advantages can you get there? I mean, look, I'm still a fan of trying to shoot in and around the Los Angeles area because all of my celebrity friends and all the celebrities in general, they'll be happy, especially if they're parents. They'll be happy to drive from Studio City to Beverly Hills to shoot something, but to fly, for free maybe, or not for free, but for a reduced rate. Versus flying to Ohio and living there for a month when they got a kid at home, that they won't do that for a reduced rate. So I think the value of shooting in and around Los Angeles is unmatched.
It kind of pays for itself, I guess, if you look at it that way. That's really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I do things like, in shooting this film I'm going to be shooting later this year. It's like, can I actually shoot in a place where my cast can stay too?
Yeah, that's smart. That's really smart.
Work that out. 2 birds, 1 stone, 100%. Right?
100%. Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning experience. So, so what are you making more films this year, or?
We are. Yes, we have one that might be shooting in the Catskills, one that might be shooting in upstate New York, another one that might be shooting in Curacao, and then another one in Sweden. So I have potential for 4 more this year.
Oh my gosh, you're going to need a clone. They all come
through. Yeah, we'll see. Exactly.
Wow, I love that. I love that. Well, I'm so happy that you've come to talk to me today. If people want to find you or learn more about what you're doing, what's the best way they can do that?
Well, great. Yeah, I would say just go to filmmakingstuff.com. It's probably the best way to get me and learn the stuff that I'm doing. But then also on Instagram, I'm Tom Malloy, TOMMALLOY, or tommalloy.com, the website. So any of those are fine.
I love that. That is perfect. So as I come to wrap this up, this is the fun part.
Right.
So whenever you're ready, I'm going to ask you 5 really goofy questions so that people can know you better.
Great. I was born ready. Let's do it.
Oh, no, that wasn't one of them. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, here we go. First question. This is the goofiest one. What's your favorite food?
I would say sushi. If I had to be on a desert island, I love sushi. I love just fish is like an apple. It's better when it's raw. You cook an apple, it's not the same.
Oh, I love it. Okay. So yeah, you could live for a lifetime just as long as you have like a way to catch them.
Yeah.
That's perfect. What's your favorite thing to drink after a long day on set?
There is no question. It is sugar-free Red Bull. I am such an addict to sugar-free Red Bull. I call it the nectar of the gods. I mean,
my God.
It's probably bad for you, but this thing has saved me on film sets so many times.
I didn't even know they made that. That is awesome. I love that it's sugar-free. That's cool. Yeah. Okay. What is something that you have dreamed about doing, but you haven't done yet?
That would be attending the Oscars. I haven't done it yet.
Really?
I've walked the red carpet in Cannes 20 plus times. I just did it 4 times when I was just there.
Oh, wow.
And that's probably, I think it's top 3 red carpets in the world as far as size, but it's like the Oscars I have not been to yet.
Oh, my gosh.
Oscar
okay.
fan, so
that's a bucket list, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%.
I love it. Okay. If it's non-movie related.
The same question then with non-movie related?
Yeah, non-movie related.
Wow, that's a good one. I would like to learn how to play guitar. I can sing, and I don't really have any instruments that I could play. So I have always thought in the back of my head, I'd love to learn to play guitar, but it's one thing that I keep putting on the side. And
it's a lot of time too, but that would be cool. You can just fake it and sing, maybe.
100%. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What is your favorite song to sing at the top of your lungs when you're driving in your car?
Well, let's see. So that's driving in a car different than karaoke, because we love
karaoke's good too. Yeah. It's all good.
Me and all my friends love doing karaoke, and wow, that's a good one. There's a famous old song called "Run Around Sue" that I have been able to kill.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I always do it very well. I've always bring it when I sing it, and so that's I'd have to go with "Run Around Sue."
That's like your go-to, huh? I love that. Okay. This one is really hard for filmmakers, which is why I love to ask it. What is your favorite movie?
Well, I would say it would probably be Casablanca because I love old films. I wouldn't say if I was trying to go pound for pound, like the best movie, it's not that because there's other, there's movies, there's On the Waterfront, there's Dr. Strangelove, there's some great films.
Yeah.
But the key with Casablanca, it has that sentimentality for me where it's every scene you feel like you've seen for so long. And I grew up with that movie, watched that movie. I've seen it in theaters even 5 or 6 times.
Oh, wow.
And so for me, the sentimental favorite would have to be
It's an amazing movie, that's for sure. I love that one too. It's not my favorite, but I love it. I love it. And I thank you so much for coming here and spending time with me today, Tom. I hope I'll meet you at AFM this year, and have a great evening.
Fantastic, Renelle. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you. Have a great one. Bye.
Take care.
Bye. Today's show is sponsored by Gym Kitty, helping women on their health and wellness journey by providing high-quality, organically sourced vitamins and supplements. Visit them today at www.gymkitty.net. You've been listening to Movie Making with Renelle Golden. Be sure to come back for our next episode where we bring you the people who make movies you love. Got a topic about filmmaking you want to hear on our podcast? Send us an email at moviemakingpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
This podcast has been sponsored by Samara Entertainment.